Is tracking that for us right now, Noah. So where is it?
Tom, it's actually a couple hundred miles off the coast of Mexico, and it's going to be a very rare meteorological event for California, western Arizona, and Nevada. So let's get right to it. We'll show you the information here. We're just under 500 miles off the coast of Cabo. It's moving northwest to 14 miles an hour. It's a healthier storm tonight. You can see the resemblance here of that symbol indicating there's healthy venting of the storm on the north side and the south side. Sustained winds at 110 miles an hour now with gusts to 130. This is as of the 4 o'clock Central Time advisory from the folks at the Hurricane Center. So where's this thing going next? Well, it continues over open water. It strengthens tonight and tomorrow morning. Becomes a Category 4 hurricane by this weekend with sustained winds 140 miles an hour, gusts up to 165. Then it will rapidly approach the California coast, and this is an exceptionally rare event because normally north of about right here, the water is too cold. 95 to 99% of all storms in known history do not make it up to here because the water is too cold. Well, this one's going to get a boost from the jet stream that's going to quite literally slingshot it up into California before it has time to weaken. And for the first time in the history of weather forecasting, San Diego, Santa Barbara, LA, and almost Las Vegas are in the cone of Hurricane Hillary. Now remember your hurricane anatomy, all the heavy rain is on the east side, also potential for some tornadoes as well. And you'll see this very clearly on the rain projection here as we go forward. For us locally, through next Thursday, there's a goose egg. We're not expecting any rain in the heartland because of that heat dome that'll be just sitting over us. But the periphery will be all the moisture from Hurricane Hillary that rides the edge of that heat dome. And notice, this will unfortunately be a major, major event. The mountainous terrain of Southern California outside San Diego and LA cannot handle 2 to 3 inches of rain is a huge deal for them. And they're talking about potentially a half a foot to a foot of rain, potentially even coming into parts of Las Vegas and up into Nevada. On one hand, it's good because, yes, these areas need desperately rain. Unfortunately, this could be, again, an exceptionally rare event where they get a half a foot or more of rain, possibly even some tornado warnings. As crazy as that may seem for you to be hearing me say that, in San Diego, even outside of Las Vegas, going up into Nevada. So that's the tropical update. Let's talk now about our local weather. We've got some good news tomorrow night, Friday Night Lights. My favorite time of the year. As a sports fan, I'd say March Madness is like a close second, but the late summer, early fall, temperature starts to fall, leaves start to change, football's in the air, high school starts, college right around the corner. This is my favorite time of the year, and you couldn't ask for anything better tomorrow night. The weather will be perfect for the few games that are going on. And you can cue the CCR again, and not who'll stop the rain this time, but have you ever seen the rain? Which, because we had, as you know, all the flash flood events, now we're going to go into a drought again for the foreseeable future. And it does look like next week will get potentially quite hot. So here's that football forecast for tomorrow. Gridiron Glory kicks off tomorrow. Sports department will be ready. I know they're excited like the rest of us are. Graves and Mayfield. Sunshine, 78 for kickoff, but the temperatures fall quick. By the fourth quarter, we'll be in the upper 60s to near 70, so maybe bring a light jacket or a sweatshirt. And here's the big picture set up for next week. Heat dome over the central part of the country. All the remnants of Hillary get sucked up into Idaho, central and eastern Canada, and we're not expecting any rain beneath that heat dome, and that will sit there for a week or longer. So tomorrow, 83, 85 Saturday, 94 Sunday, 97 Monday, 95 next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Lots of sunshine. Again, dare I say, we may enter a drought again. No rain anytime soon.
Now, by watching that, I was just in Walmart yesterday in 2 different areas. One was in Huntington, the other one was in Paris, because I had to go to my doctor in McKenzie yesterday and see her. She said that I had lost about another 5 or 6 pounds. I don't know if that's accurate or not. But while I was in Walmart, I got to noticing they've already got their winter supplies out. Winter coats, winter jackets, long sleeve shirts, long pants. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, we're not even through September yet. and they're already putting out long sleeve stuff, and here it's supposed to be like 97 degrees by Monday or Tuesday in this area. Not counting, I think, down in Texas, Dallas, they're supposed to hit over 100 degrees again this weekend. Consistently. Besides the unusual, weird weather pattern pertaining to the hurricane that the guy just got through mentioning. And then they top it off by saying, oh, it's football season. We can all go back to being normal again, just like it was before pre-COVID. That's the part there that's contradicting itself towards taking this message seriously, even to this day, after 1 million plus people has died because of COVID. So, inevitably, because of the nonchalantness that I have dedicated now over 3+ years of putting out so much material towards trying to warn people and give people advisories about, I've just about, like I told my son yesterday or day before yesterday, whenever I talked to him, I said, you know what, I've just about reached a point that I was hoping that all this was going to be able to be resolved in a peaceful, professional type way with the Democrats and the Republicans and all the haggling and all the stuff going on up in the White House. I said, but I've just about reached a conclusion. Haven't completely reached a conclusion, but I'm like 98% that the only way that this is going to be resolved is through some sort of violent, horrible act. And that is the very opposite in what the Jesus Christ Jubilees Windmill Ministries had been promoting now for the past 30+ years. And as far as I'm concerned, the fault falls upon the feet of those that could have helped, that chose not to help. And it's as if that they themselves are deliberately pushing this thing off into a state of violence and hostility. So, you know, once I've reached a conclusion that I've done all that I can do, kind of like Noah. Noah finally reached that conclusion. Jesus reached the conclusion whenever he went up into the mountain and said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, talking to the Father, I've gathered thee together as a hen would gather her chickens, and you still would not listen. At that point in time, I truly believe that Jesus was saying, you know what? I've done all I can do for them. And they're still not going to listen. So, heaven have mercy on us all is all I can say. Heaven have mercy on us all. So bad. This all could have been preventable. Let's back it up. Back it up. Man, this fire right here was ferocious. I put this fire on the same level as I do 9/11. I mean, it was just absolutely unbelievably ferocious. Actually, it looks like possibly a nuclear bomb would have went off there. Like Hiroshima.
General today announcing an independent investigation into the response, and Maui's emergency chief speaking out for the first time. Why he says they didn't activate the sirens, and the video showing down power lines. Did they help spark the fires? Our team on the ground in Hawaii. Also tonight, Hurricane Hillary forming in the Pacific, taking rare aim at the Southwest and California, the state that hasn't seen a direct hit in 84 years. Al Roker is here. The Georgia grand jury that indicted former President Trump receiving threats. The investigation the sheriff announced today. The stunning turn in the trial of 2 white men charged with shooting at a black FedEx driver in Mississippi. The victim's mother storming out of the courtroom after the judge declares a mistrial. Why he did it. The FBI arresting multiple police officers in raids in California. Their alleged racist texts. The new warning on North Korea. Is Russia giving Kim Jong-un nuclear missile technology? And striking a chord, the brothers who inspired an orchestra to bring their story to life.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening and welcome, everyone. Residents and survivors of the deadly inferno on Maui are getting some answers to some of those growing questions about the adequacy of the official response to the disaster, but not necessarily answers they accept, including why sounding warning sirens would have been a bad idea. There were some testy moments when the island's top disaster official took questions at a public meeting, defending what was and in some cases what wasn't done. And now tonight, Hawaii's Attorney General says she will bring on a third-party private organization to investigate the government response, promising an impartial, independent review. While no official causes of the wildfires that struck Maui have been determined, there is a broad belief that many of the more than 100 lives lost could and should have been saved. The heartbreak and frustration on Maui is where we start again tonight with Tom Yamas. And Tom, people are really calling for accountability here.
That is right, Lester, and good evening. That relief is coming in tonight to Lahaina, but the tension is rising. Local officials are being pressed harder than ever before. The AG, as you mentioned, is muscling up her investigation into why. And tonight we are spending time with the families from this community just behind us who did not make it out alive.
Tonight, the number of victims from the burn zone keeps climbing. More than 100 dead and 1,000 still unaccounted for. As the head of Maui's emergency operations faces the public for the first time since the disaster.
Do you regret not sounding the sirens?
I do not. And the reason why, and
So many people said they could have been saved.
But when follow-up questions were asked, this happened.
As the flames
do you want him to give you the answer? Or
I
do you
do,
want
but I want to get it out
finish.
there.
Let him finish his
I'm
answer.
sorry, there's a lot of people.
Well, you're talking.
who want
You're not letting him
answers.
talk. If you want to talk, come up here.
Even though the sirens are all hazard systems, Herman and Daya maintain they are primarily used for tsunamis.
Had we sounded the siren that night, we're afraid that people would have gone Malka. And if that was the case, then they would have gone into the fire.
The sense of frustration on Maui lingers just like the smoke.
It's got to this point where it's like, who are these people watching us? Do they even properly care for us?
High winds, dry conditions, and low humidity are being called the climate threat multipliers that fueled those deadly flames across Maui. But the root cause of the fires is still being investigated. Hawaiian Electric now being accused of years of inaction leading up to the deadly fire. A new lawsuit alleges the utility knew of the risks for years and failed to take steps to prevent catastrophe. Citing this stunning admission in a 2022 funding request to state regulators, where Hawaiian Electric acknowledged, quote, the risk of a utility system causing a wildfire ignition is significant. Despite the warning signs, the suit alleges the utility failed to act. Hawaiian Electric declined to comment on pending litigation, saying in part, we will work with the state and county as they conduct their review.
Fire crossing the road. Not good.
But now, some are also blaming the power company for slowing the evacuation. Cole Millington shot this video as the flames approached.
There was a mass evacuation occurring, and we were trying to get to safety, and it extremely hindered the chances and the speed at which we were evacuated.
All of this as hope has faded for some families.
You really love Lahaina.
Alfredo Gallinado lived in Hawaii for more than 30 years. He had an aloha for everybody, his family told me, and now he's gone.
What do you remember? Actually last month, I took him to Vegas. 4th of July. I was going to take him for his actual birthday. No, he's gone. But that's my best, actually, memory with him.
And now, balancing all this suffering against financial need, there is tension over tourism. Visitors account for roughly 70% of Maui's economy.
So you want the tourists to come and spend money on Maui?
We all do. You ask anybody who works in the tourism industry, which is pretty much everybody, yes.
So many people are looking at the rubble and worrying, can there be a future in West Maui?
We're going through fertility treatments. I want to have a baby, and I don't have a community anymore.
A disaster that's already stolen lifetimes and threatens to last for generations. Tom Yamas, NBC News, Maui.
In Southern California, we're watching the threat of heavy rain and flash flooding as Hurricane Hillary, now in the Pacific off of Mexico, moves northwest. Al Roker is with us. Al, how serious is this storm?
Well, Lester, we haven't seen a tropical storm make landfall in Southern California since 1939. This is a rapidly intensifying storm, already a Category 2, with 110-mile-per-hour winds. It's moving northwest at 14 miles per hour. The water temperature is 6 degrees above normal, so this could be a Category 4 by tomorrow at noon. It hits a pool of colder water right along the shoreline, but that could help weaken it, bring it down to a 2, and then it makes landfall. But it still could retain its tropical characteristics, and that could be a big problem. Heavy rain and winds locally, Lester, 5 to 8 inches of rain. And the month of August is the driest month in Southern California. They get no rain, so this could be big problems.
All right, and separately, you're keeping a close watch on wildfires in Canada.
Absolutely. We've got over 1,000 wildfires burning right now, and the smoke forecast brings that from Winnipeg all the way down into Chicago, where we could be looking at 12 million people at risk for that Canadian wildfire smoke. And if they are in that sensitive group, it could be very unhealthy, Lester, for the next 24 hours.
All right, Al, thank you. And tonight, authorities in Atlanta are on high alert after personal information of grand jurors who voted to indict former President Trump was posted online, leading to threats. Garrett Hake is in Atlanta. Garrett, good evening.
Lester, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office says they're working with other area law enforcement to respond to these threats and ensure the safety of grand jurors whose names and addresses have been posted now on a fringe website. One user of that site posting that the jurors, quote, signed their death warrant by voting to indict Donald Trump on Monday. Now, this comes as a Texas woman was arrested and detained for threatening the life of the federal judge overseeing Mr. Trump's other election interference case in Washington. No word tonight on when Mr. Trump will surrender for processing on the charges against him here in Atlanta. That deadline, Lester, is next Friday.
Garrett Hake, thank you. In Mississippi, a shocking turn tonight in the attempted murder trial of 2 white men accused of chasing and shooting at a black FedEx driver. The judge declaring a mistrial in the case. Jesse Kirsch has details.
Tonight, outrage in Mississippi. A judge declaring a mistrial in the case of 2 white men accused of trying to murder DeMontario Gibson, a black FedEx driver who had just made a delivery.
And with great reluctance, the court has no choice in this matter but to grant the motion for a mistrial.
Gibson's mother escorted from court today after Judge David Strong's ruling, a day after a police officer admitted to withholding evidence. Brookhaven Police Detective Vincent Fernando saying under oath that authorities had taken a videotaped statement from Gibson, but did not share it with either the defense or prosecution, as was required.
The failure to turn over matters in discovery is just something that can't be ignored. In 17 years, I don't think I've ever seen it happen, but it happened here.
A mistrial is a major hiccup for the prosecution, but all in all, a second trial really saps the resources of the defense more than the state.
Brookhaven police have not responded to NBC News' request for comment. Gibson says in January 2022, he made a delivery in his FedEx uniform and was driving a Hertz van with the rental company's markings when Gregory Case and his son Brandon allegedly chased and shot at him. Gregory Case's attorney says his client only planned to ask the driver what was happening outside his mother-in-law's home, but the driver did not stop. Gibson believes he was chased because he's black. In a statement tonight, Gibson's attorney calling the mistrial a delay in justice, calling on the Department of Justice to investigate the Brookhaven Police Department. Jesse Kirsch, NBC News.
There is breaking news tonight from Northern California. The FBI arresting police officers in the Bay Area accused of criminal conduct. Aaron McLaughlin is following this. Aaron, what do we know?
Lester, in what the Antioch mayor is calling a dark day for the city, this morning the FBI arrested a number of officers in a series of raids across the East Bay, the product of an 18-month investigation into alleged criminal conduct by at least 9 law enforcement officers from Antioch and Pittsburgh, including racist texts discovered on seized cell phones. According to court documents unsealed just now, the officers have been charged in 4 separate federal indictments, charges ranging from the deprivation violation of rights and conspiracy to wire fraud. One 30-page indictment points to disturbing communications, including an officer who bragged that his police canine bit at least 28 people. The officers have yet to enter a plea. Lester?
Aaron McLaughlin, thank you. Tonight, alarming signs that Russia has supplied North Korea with a new missile that could evade U.S. missile defenses and hit multiple American targets. Andrea Mitchell has this exclusive report. Andrea, what is this new North Korean weapon?
Lester, according to a new study from Beyond Parallel, reported first by NBC News, this new North Korean missile tested in July is nearly identical in appearance and trajectory data to a Russian missile that can penetrate U.S. missile defenses and carry multiple warheads as far as here in Washington. 2 weeks after that test, Russia's defense minister met with Kim Jong-un in North Korea to further cement their ties. Russia was already helping North Korea with energy and food, and North Korea has been providing Russia weapons for Ukraine. All this will be part of tomorrow's Camp David summit when President Biden hosts the leaders of South Korea and Japan to discuss the growing threats in the region. Lester?
All right, Andrea Mitchell, thank you. Also tonight, Russia staking its claim in a new space race to the moon and Mars. A Russian probe expected to land on the moon's south pole any day now in an area that could be critical for the future of exploration beyond the moon. Here's Tom Costello.
Now orbiting the moon, Luna 25 is Russia's first robotic lunar mission in nearly 50 years. Russia never landed cosmonauts on the moon, but within days, Luna will be the first probe to land on the moon's south side, working to confirm the presence of frozen water, which could one day be used for rocket fuel. The head of Russia's space agency says the moon could be the launching pad to explore distant planets, including Mars.
Russia has just launched a probe to land on the South Pole.
NASA Chief Bill Nelson says that ice is why the U.S. plans to land Artemis astronauts in 2025. But China is also aiming for the pole.
I don't want China to get to the South Pole first with humans and then say, this is ours, stay out.
Is this starting to feel real?
That's real. That's it. It's starting to feel very, very real.
At the Kennedy Space Center, the Artemis 2 astronauts, the first crew who will orbit the moon since Apollo, have now inspected the Orion spaceship that will take them there next year.
We're all smiles, of course. It's pretty inspiring moment.
NASA's goal, similar to what Russia and China are planning. Ultimately, NASA wants to create an Artemis base camp on the moon and use that to go to Mars.
Tom, I think the space race is really between us and China, and we need to protect the interest of the international community.
Nelson insists the U.S. would never lock out others, but the new space race is accelerating. Tom Costello, NBC News at the Kennedy Space Center.
In 60 seconds, smash and grab robberies at well-known stores, the impact on the price you pay, and how one big city is trying to fight back. Right after this.
I'm Walt. I have relapsing MS and a lot going on.
Countries are starting to get desperate. People starting to get desperate. When you start seeing stuff like this in America going routinely.
Ask your doctor about treating RMS with key symptoms.
Yeah, people's getting desperate.
California's governor says he's tripling highway patrol resources in Los Angeles to crack down on the recent string of smash and grab robberies at retail stores. It comes as the city announced it is forming a task force. Here's Antonia Hilton.
Today, a major step forward to help fight brazen crimes like these in Los Angeles, where scenes of smash and grab robberies have become all too familiar. Most recently at Nordstrom's, where a mob used bear spray to disarm security.
These are not victimless crimes.
The mayor of Los Angeles announcing a retail crimes task force is now in effect, focused on thieves, but also on the getaway drivers and resellers.
Our message is clear. Those who commit these crimes will be caught.
It's part of a troubling nationwide trend. 8 in 10 retailers have reported increased incidents of violence and aggression this year. Rachel Michelin is CEO of the California Retailers Association.
It feels a little bit like we're under assault.
Experts say for every robbery seen at major retailers, there's a small business getting hit too. Retailers now demanding lawmakers increase consequences.
Do you think this new task force will have an effect?
I'm hopeful that it will have an impact, but candidly, I don't think anything will truly change until we're willing to have those difficult decisions about how do we change some of the policies on our books.
Just 2 days ago, several stores here on Rodeo Drive were hit, and incidents like these are costing retailers billions of dollars. Retailers warn consumers will pay the price too.
They will see prices go up. They will see stores close. And I don't think any of us want to see that happening.
Antonia Hilton, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Up next here tonight, with COVID cases rising, we asked the CDC director how to protect yourself and when to get boosted.
Welcome to the 21st century, huh? Good luck to all of us. And heaven help us all. Shalom.